In 2024, a luxury hotel chain began charging guests an extra $75 per night for what they called the premium wellness experience. The package included access to a gym with the same equipment as the standard floor, a bottle of water that cost $2 wholesale, and a lavender-scented towel. The pricing made it roughly $300 more expensive than an identical room at a mid-tier competitor across the street. The difference was a logo on the bathrobe and the word premium written in serif font on the booking page. This might sound absurd, but it is far from unusual. For the past couple of decades, the word premium has been slapped onto everything from coffee to car washes, often with little to suggest the product is measurably better than its cheaper alternative. But for a long time, people paid anyway. That is until recently. Premium pricing is not collapsing in some dramatic way. There is no boycott, no viral outrage. Instead, what we are seeing is something quieter and potentially more lasting. A slow, creeping indifference. Consumers are still buying things. They are just no longer buying the story that premium means better. To understand where premium pricing went wrong, you first have to understand when it went right. Because there was a time, not all that long ago, when premium actually meant something tangible. In the mid-20th century, premium was not a marketing category. It was a manufacturing philosophy. A premium leather bag was not expensive because of the brand name. It was expensive because the leather itself was better. Thicker hides, tanning processes that took months, stitching done by hand. The bag cost more because it cost more to make. And crucially, it lasted. You could pass it down to your kids. Premium cars used heavier steel, more sound insulation, and engines built to tighter tolerances. Premium hotels employed staff who knew your name because you had stayed there before, and they remembered. Premium meant restraint. It meant making fewer things, but making them better. And it meant a company's reputation lived or died on whether the product delivered. But by the late 1990s, something shifted. Business schools started teaching a new idea: premiumization. You did not need to make a better product to charge a premium price. You just needed to position it correctly. Invest in design language. Tell a story. Create an experience. Premium became less about the thing you were selling and more about how the customer felt when they bought it. The shift happened across industries almost simultaneously. Coffee chains began charging $7 for drinks that cost less than 50 cents to produce. The beans came from the same suppliers as mid-tier competitors. The markup was not paying for quality. It was paying for the perception of quality. Fashion brands that had once prided themselves on European craftsmanship quietly moved production to the same Asian factories that made fast fashion. The leather handbag that cost $15 to manufacture sold for $800. The justification was heritage, storytelling, and brand equity. Those were words that sounded meaningful, but described nothing you could touch. Hotels followed the same path. Premium rooms were often identical to mid-tier competitors. The mattresses were the same. The linens were the same. What changed was the lobby. Marble floors, staff in tailored uniforms. These were signals. They told you this place was expensive. And if it was expensive, it must be good. The equation flipped. Price became proof of value, not a reflection of it. Even technology fell into the pattern. Premium smartphones began using the same components as mid-tier models. The difference was the casing and marketing. Repairs became impossible by design. Premium did not mean it lasted longer. It meant you would pay more to replace it sooner. For a long time, this worked. Not because consumers were naive, but because the gap between price and value widened slowly, gradually. If your favorite coffee shop raises prices by 50 cents every year, you do not notice. If your hotel brand starts cutting corners but keeps the same logo, it does not register immediately. There was also trust inertia. People assumed brands they had trusted for years were still delivering the same value. That leather bag might feel thinner, but surely it is still better than the alternatives. The assumption carried weight, even as evidence mounted that it should not. And then there was status. Premium pricing has always been partly about signaling. You are not just buying a product, you are buying entry into a category. Even if the good stuff is not actually better anymore, the signal still works. For a while. But willful blindness is exhausting to maintain, especially when cheaper alternatives became harder to distinguish from premium versions. When your friend's mid-tier hotel room looked identical to yours. When $70 sneakers performed just as well as the $300 pair. When the premium coffee tasted no different from the chain that charged half as much. The collapse didn't happen all at once. Instead, it was a slow accumulation of small realizations. A creeping sense that you were paying for a feeling, not a product. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. By the early 2020s, the signs were everywhere. Premium brands reported flat growth. Luxury companies missed revenue targets. Analysts called it market saturation. But it wasn't that. Consumers just weren't convinced anymore. Younger buyers stopped playing along. They grew up in an era of transparency. Product teardowns revealed identical components between expensive and cheap models. Social media exposed which luxury brands use the same factories as fast fashion. Information asymmetry, the gap premium pricing relied on, was closing. And instead of backlash, there was something more dangerous. Indifference. People stopped caring about premium as a concept. The word itself started to feel like a joke. Premium parking, premium seating, premium water. When everything claims to be premium, nothing is. The resale market boomed. Not because people could not afford new premium products, but because they realized they could get the same logo for half the price, secondhand. Dupe culture exploded. Finding cheaper alternatives became a point of pride, not shame. The stigma reversed. Paying full price started to look naive. Through all of this, premium brands kept raising prices. 5% here, 7% there. They assumed loyalty would hold. But loyalty is built slowly and destroyed quickly. And once it is gone, no amount of marketing can bring it back. The pandemic accelerated the shift. People spent months at home staring at premium products they had accumulated. The luxury gym membership they never used. Designer clothes hanging unworn. Stripped of the social signaling component, premium started to look absurd. And when people started calculating cost per use, the math stopped working. That $300 hotel room offered maybe $10 worth of tangible difference from the mid-tier alternative. That $7 coffee was chemically identical to the $4 version. What is interesting is that premium brands seemed genuinely surprised. They had spent decades conditioning consumers to equate price with quality. And for a long time, it worked. But perception is fragile. It requires constant reinforcement. And once consumers started comparing premium products directly to cheaper alternatives, the reinforcement stopped working. The collapse was not universal. Some premium brands still commanded loyalty. Those were the brands that maintained substance alongside their pricing. Companies that used better materials, offered superior service, and delivered measurably better performance kept that edge. Premium still worked, but only when it meant something real. What failed was premium as pure positioning. The idea that you could charge more simply because you'd convinced people your brand was worth more. That model relied on consumers not looking too closely, not comparing too carefully, and all those conditions have eroded. Information is everywhere. Alternatives are a search away. The hotel industry provides a clear example. As luxury chains expanded, service became standardized, automated. Staff stopped remembering your name. Rooms stopped being nicer. What remained was the price and the branding. But without the substance underneath, the price started to look arbitrary. And that's the real collapse. Not financial ruin, but irrelevance. The slow realization that premium has become just another word for expensive. The broader lesson extends beyond premium pricing. It's about what happens when price and value separate, when companies optimize for perception instead of substance. For a while, that works. Consumers don't have perfect information. They rely on shortcuts, brand names, prices, appearances. Those shortcuts work until they don't. We've seen this pattern before. Travel agents charged premiums for booking, then online platforms made the information free. Stockbrokers charged premiums for trades, then apps made it free. Consulting firms charged premiums for analysis, then AI made it automatable. Premium pricing works as long as consumers can't clearly see the gap between what they're paying and what they're getting. The question isn't whether premium pricing will survive. Some version of it will. There will always be genuinely better products that justify higher prices. The question is whether the word premium itself can recover any meaning. Whether consumers will ever again hear that word and think quality instead of markup. Right now, the answer seems to be no. Premium has become a punchline. A signal that someone is trying to charge you more for the same thing. And once a word loses its meaning, it's very hard to get it back. What the collapse of premium pricing really shows is something simpler. You can charge more than your product is worth. You can do it for years, even decades. You can build entire brands around it, but not forever. Eventually, consumers figure it out, not through some dramatic revelation, just through slow, accumulating evidence. The kind you can ignore for a while, until you can't. And once that happens, no amount of clever marketing can put the illusion back together. Because it was always just that, an illusion. One that required everyone to agree not to look too closely. The moment people started looking, the whole thing began to unravel.